My name is Madison Hale. I was 19 when my parents decided my life was expendable. They didn't yell. They didn't cry. They just looked at me like I was already gone. We lived in a small town in Iowa, the kind where everyone waves but nobody helps. Church on Sundays, fake smiles on weekdays, and secrets buried under silence. I wasn't a bad daughter. I was just inconvenient. The lie that ruined me. It started with my cousin, Trevor. He came to our house shaking, knuckles bruised, hoodie stained with something dark. He said there'd been a fight near a gas station. Someone was hurt. Police were already asking questions. I told him to sit down. I made him water. I didn't know that kindness would become my sentence. 3 hours later, squad cars lit up our driveway. Red. Blue. Judgment. An officer knocked. "Is Madison Hale here?" My mother answered before I could move. Yes. That single word hit harder than handcuffs. 2 years won't kill you. In the interrogation room, my parents sat across from me, separate chairs, separate souls. The detective slid papers across the table. Statements. Timelines. Lies dressed as facts. My father cleared his throat. "Sign it," he said. I looked at my mother, waiting for her to stop this. She didn't. She leaned closer and whispered the sentence that still echoes in my head. 2 years in prison won't kill you. You're young. You'll survive. Survive. Like prison is a bad vacation. Like trauma has an expiration date. The moment I realized I was alone. When the cuffs clicked shut, my mother stood up. She didn't hug me. She didn't say sorry. She grabbed her purse. That's when it hit me. I wasn't being punished for a crime. I was being sacrificed for family peace. Prison changes you quietly. Prison doesn't break you all at once. It erases you slowly. The first night, I slept on a metal bed staring at the ceiling, listening to women cry in different languages. Some cried for their kids. Some cried for their freedom. I cried because no one had cried for me. 2 years later. When I walked out, thinner and quieter, my parents were waiting. Smiling. As if they hadn't aged me 10 years and 24 months. My mother hugged me and said, "See? You're fine. Fine." I looked at her and realized something terrifying. The prison wasn't the worst part. Being disposable to your own parents was, and prison didn't hit me the way movies show. There were no dramatic fights the first day. No screaming guards. No instant terror. That came later. Intake night. They took my clothes first. Every piece. Standing naked under cold fluorescent lights while a female officer checked places no one should ever touch you. I remember thinking. So this is how dignity leaves the body. They handed me orange fabric that smelled like bleach and old sweat. Put it on. That was the moment I stopped being a daughter. I became inmate #F77192. The cell that teaches silence. My cell was small. Concrete walls. Metal bed. Thin mattress that felt like punishment pretending to be mercy. My cellmate's name was Renee. 32. Face full of scars. Eyes that had seen too much and felt nothing. She looked at me once and said, "First time?" I nodded. She turned away. That was kindness in prison. The rules no one tells you. Prison has rules they never print. Don't cry where people can see you. Don't ask why someone's in. Don't owe favors. And never look weak for too long. The first week, I broke all of them. I cried at night. Quietly. I asked questions. I trusted smiles. That almost cost me everything. The shower incident. It happened on day 11. Showers are communal. No privacy. Steam, echoes, eyes everywhere. I felt someone stand too close behind me. Then a voice. You don't belong here, pretty girl. My body froze. Before I could react, Renee stepped in front of me. She's mine, she said. That sentence saved me. Later, back in the cell, I asked her why. She shrugged. You remind me of who I used to be. Stupid. Soft. I said thank you. She didn't answer. Time moves differently in prison. Days don't pass. They repeat. Breakfast trays clanging. Count times. Head counts. Lock-ins. Lockouts. You stop thinking in days. You think in survivals. I marked time with tiny scratches under my mattress. One for every night I didn't break. Letters from home. My parents wrote. My mother's handwriting was neat. We hope you're learning from this. God has a plan. I read that letter 3 times. Then I tore it into pieces so small it felt like revenge. My father sent nothing. That hurt more than anything. The girl who didn't make it. There was a girl named Alyssa. She was 20. Came in laughing. Left crying. One night, she didn't come back from medical. We never saw her again. No explanation. No closure. Prison teaches you not to ask where people go. The moment I changed. Around month 6, something inside me hardened. I stopped apologizing. Stopped explaining myself. Stopped hoping my parents would realize. I learned to look through people, not at them. That's how you survive. Not by fighting. By disappearing while still breathing. The thought that kept me alive. Every night before lights out, I whispered the same thing. They took my freedom. They don't get my future. I didn't know how yet. But I promised myself. When I walk out of here, I will never beg for love again. The gates didn't open slowly. They slammed. Metal on metal. Final. After 2 years, I stepped outside wearing the same name, but not the same soul. Madison Hale. Age 21. Released. The sky looked unreal. Too blue. Freedom felt loud, like I hadn't earned the right to breathe it yet. My parents were waiting in the parking lot. Smiling. That's the part that still makes my stomach turn. The hug that meant nothing. My mother rushed toward me first. Oh my God, Madison, she cried, wrapping her arms around me like she hadn't handed me away. I didn't hug back. My body didn't recognize her anymore. She pulled back, confused. You okay? I nodded. That was the first lie I told after prison. The drive home. The car smelled the same. Vanilla air freshener. Old leather. Normal life. My father cleared his throat. So, you learn anything? I stared out the window. Yeah, I said. I learned who won't save me. Silence filled the car like a punishment. Home wasn't home. They took me back to my childhood house. Same white walls. Same couch. Same fake family photos. My room had changed. No posters. No memories. Just a guest bed. Like they had already erased me. My mother noticed me looking around. We thought it'd be better to start fresh. Fresh. That word again. The conversation they avoided. That night, at dinner, my mother finally said it. You know, we did what we had to do. I put my fork down. No, I said calmly. You did what was easiest. My father slammed his hand on the table. You broke the law. I looked him in the eyes for the first time in years. I took the fall, I said. You let me. No one spoke after that. The truth comes out. Later that night, my mother knocked on my door. She sat on the edge of the bed like I was still a child. Your cousin confessed, she whispered. It came out last year. I felt something crack. You knew? I asked. She nodded. You didn't try to get me out? Tears filled her eyes. It was already done. And things were peaceful again. Peaceful. I laughed. Not because it was funny. Because it was unbelievable. The moment I walked away. The next morning, I packed a small bag. My father watched silently. My mother begged. Where will you go? I zipped the bag and looked at them both. Somewhere I'm not disposable. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just walked out. What prison gave me? Prison took 2 years. But it gave me something my parents never did. A backbone. Boundaries. And the courage to choose myself. As I stepped onto the bus heading out of town, I thought about my mother's words from 2 years ago. 2 years in prison won't kill you. She was right. But it killed the version of me that trusted them. And that version? Was never coming back. I didn't disappear after I left that house. I rebuilt. The bus dropped me in a city where no one knew my past. No labels, no whispers, no poor girl looks. Just my name. Madison Hale. Starting from nothing. I slept on a friend's couch for 3 months. Worked nights at a diner. Cleaned tables that people left messy without a second thought. Every tip went into a jar labeled freedom. I didn't tell anyone about prison. I didn't need sympathy. I needed momentum. The glow-up wasn't makeup. People think glow-ups are about hair, clothes, bodies. Mine was quieter. I learned to say no. I stopped explaining myself. I stopped chasing approval. I enrolled in community college. Criminal justice. Irony tastes sweet when you survive it. Turning pain into power. I started speaking at small groups first. Women who had records. Girls who'd been blamed for family mistakes. I told them the truth. Prison doesn't end your life. Silence does. Word spread. So did my confidence. The day my name meant something again. 2 years later, I stood on a stage holding a microphone. Not in orange. In black. Professional. Free. My talk went viral. People didn't see an ex-inmate. They saw a survivor. When my parents came back. The email came on a Sunday. From my mother. We're so proud of you. I stared at the screen for a long time. Then closed my laptop. Pride after abandonment is just guilt wearing makeup. A week later, they showed up at one of my events. Older. Quieter. Smaller. My mother cried when she saw me. My father couldn't meet my eyes. The conversation that ended everything. After the event, my mother hugged me. I knew you'd be strong, she whispered. I gently stepped back. No, I said. You hoped I'd survive. There's a difference. My father finally spoke. We were scared. I nodded. So was I. But I was alone. Closure isn't forgiveness. They asked if we could start over. I smiled. Some things don't restart, I said. They evolve. I didn't cut them off with anger. I chose distance with peace. That was my real freedom. The last truth. Prison didn't define me. My parents didn't destroy me. They revealed me. 2 years in prison didn't kill me. It introduced me to the woman I was always meant to be. And she? She doesn't beg to belong anywhere anymore. Success doesn't make noise at first. It shows up quietly. In stability. In peace. In the way you sleep without fear. By 25, my life looked nothing like my past. I had my own apartment. A steady income. A name people respected. And most importantly, I wasn't angry anymore. The call I never expected. The call came on a random Tuesday night. Unknown number. I almost ignored it. Almost. Madison? My mother's voice sounded smaller. Older. Your father had a stroke. Silence sat between us. Not shock. Not panic. Just distance. Going back, on my terms. I flew back home 2 days later. Not because I owed them. But because I wanted closure, not forgiveness. The hospital smelled like antiseptic and regret. My father looked fragile in that bed. The man who once told me to sign it couldn't even hold a pen now. When he saw me, his eyes filled with tears. "I'm sorry," he whispered. Those words used to be everything I wanted. Now? They were just late. The truth they finally said out loud. My mother broke down in the hallway. "We were afraid of losing the family," she cried. "So we lost you instead." I nodded. "Yes," I said softly. "You did." No yelling. No drama. Just truth. Power looks different up close. They expected reconciliation. Tears. Hugs. A movie ending. What they got was respect, with boundaries. I helped with medical decisions. Arranged care. But I didn't move back. Didn't stay longer than needed. Because growth means knowing where you no longer belong. The line that changed everything. Before I left, my mother asked quietly, "Do you forgive us?" I thought for a long moment. "I forgive myself," I said. "That's enough." She cried. I walked away. Calm. The final lesson. Here's the truth people don't tell you. Survival is loud. Healing is quiet. And power is choosing peace over revenge. My parents didn't ruin my life. They taught me a lesson I never asked for. Never hand your future to people who fear discomfort more than they love you. The ending they never expected. Today, when people hear my story, they ask, "How did you survive prison?" I smile. Prison wasn't the hardest part, I say. Being abandoned was. But abandonment didn't end me. It introduced me to myself. And that version of me? She's unstoppable.